Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, February 14, 2024, Valentine's Day. I'm Rochelle Batiste with the details. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the most recent member state of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, the OECS, to launch the Commission's Opportunities to Advance and Support Youth for Success, the OASIS project. The OASIS project aims to reduce crime and violence rates among young people across the Eastern Caribbean with a focus on strengthening youth justice systems. It supports strengthening existing programs and investing in new ones to provide skills development, psychosocial support, and family interventions for youth in conflict with the law through collaborations with government and non-government partners, civil society organizations, and the private sector. Addressing the launching ceremony of the project, a national consultation held today, Program Director acting for Social Inclusion and Social Protection Unit of the OECS Commission, Lisa Sargasin-Tarrance, pointed out that crime involving young people is on the rise, with the murder rate in the region about 3 times higher than the global average, with most of the homicides occurring in the small islands. While deeming the situation as unfortunate, the OECSC representative says there is hope.
We know all the causes of crime, okay? But some new ones are coming to the forefront these days, all right? The literature tells us that it's poverty-related, it's as a result of unemployment, inadequate social services, breakdown in our communities and family structure, diluting and deterioration of our own Caribbean culture, morals, and values, failure to address mental health issues from the onset, proliferation of drugs and the porous nature of our borders, lack of detection, and inability to dismantle gangs. The latter are some of the emerging causes among our young people, and in particular our males. But while sometimes we like to bring the males to the forefront when it comes to crime and youth-related violence, I don't want us to forget that we have some amazing young men in the region. And I'm certain in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, some names are popping out right now. All right, think of them. All right, not every young person is in conflict with the law. And we have to see how we can also celebrate those who do things the best they can, the right way, and how they can serve perhaps as even mentors and models.
While also noting that studies are showing young men between the age group 15 to 29 are responsible for the highest rates of drug-related offenses, with an overpresence of them in the various prisons, and female participation in gang-related activities increasing, though subtly. The OECS representative says in looking at ways to address these issues, they have looked at all young people, not just those in conflict with the law.
We have gang-related activities taking on a different level in our schools. It's been there for a while, but those of you who work closely with the schools, you will see that it is taken on a different level. And I don't need to go down into the details of that. And I'm hoping through OASIS, we can be very targeted and we could be very specific in how we bring in all the right actors, even our schools, to deal with this. Our chair just explained to you that OASIS really builds on the JGRB. So it is a really good springboard. I looked a while ago at a list of all the milestones that St. Vincent and the Grenadines achieved over the years. And I'm hoping that this list that has about 20 or so milestones will increase exponentially as we implement OASIS in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. OASIS is actually aligned to our OECS Youth Empowerment Strategy, which we call OECSCS. And what we're hoping is that this project will continue with the revision and enactment of child-friendly legislation as the first step in creating a landscape for the protection of children and all young people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Our governments in the region must be cognizant of international agreements that set out standards, rules, protocols, guidelines for the protection and treatment of children and young persons by the justice system. The Riyadh guidelines, which speak to the prevention of juvenile delinquency. The Beijing rules that focus on the treatment of young persons in conflict with the law. The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. The Fundament, which speaks to the inalienable rights of children. Compliance with these agreements will steer us away from what is now, or used to be, I would say, a punitive measure. And it will take us into more friendly approaches, which will provide opportunities for diversion, opportunities for rehabilitation and reintegration of our young people.
Terence says through the Oasis project, they will also seek a more restorative approach to justice that will focus on the rehabilitation of their target groups.
We look forward in this project to an important engagement with the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, which will be focusing on this very approach through criminal and family mediation. To achieve the goals of Oasis project, we must work together to revise and update our legislation in line with the best practices in the field. And this will enable us to shift our focus from, as I said earlier, the punitive measures. It will ensure that our justice system considers the unique developmental needs and vulnerabilities of young people. It will strengthen the protection of young offenders' rights by granting access to legal representation, timely hearings, and fair trial standards, while also safeguarding their privacy and confidentiality in judicial proceedings. Now, to address all of these issues as it pertains to crime on a global or on a regional level, I would like to encourage us to adhere to what is recommended now as a public health approach to crime prevention and violence. And instead of being predominantly reactive, let us use that model that applies, where we diagnose, we look for the root cause, we treat, okay? I want to also encourage a multi-sectoral approach between the justice system, social services, education, and community organizations to create a comprehensive and integrated approach to youth justice reform. I also want us to engage in problem-solving strategic dialogues with all actors. And by all actors, I really mean all. Our international community, central and local government, the police, the prisons, the judiciary, and I hope you all represented here today, our universities, our schools, and the non-governmental sector. Let us invest in all aspects of young persons so that they can become the wholesome and productive individuals that we want.
And Minister responsible for national mobilization, social development, family, gender affairs and youth, housing and informal human settlement, Dr. Orlando Brewster, welcomed the launch of the Oasis project here in SVG.
The name stands out. Opportunities to advance and support youth for success, and I love it. And an oasis in a desert, it reminded me of that. And I'm happy that we chose such a name. As you are aware, this is a two-phase project. We had the GJRP, which has been spanning over 10 years, and we saw some achievements. We saw the child justice legislation being passed in the OECS member states, namely Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The child justice legislation has also been developed in the Commonwealth of Dominica and is awaiting cabinet approval and enactment. This is a legacy model and framework to guide the use of diversion, rehabilitation, reintegration, and it has been developed and it is going to be adopted by all these countries. The Oasis, under the auspices of the Ministry of National Mobilization et al., has embarked on the already successful focus on diversion, rehabilitation, and reintegration of children in conflict with the law. Our National Coordinator and Director for Child Development have already concluded focus groups discussing with primary stakeholders and developing a national strategic work plan, which are necessary pillars in order to make this program a success.
Noting that the Ministry of National Mobilization is charged with the responsibility of providing a safe and secure environment for children in need of care and protection and those in conflict with the law, as well as secure placement for boys and girls at risk. Minister Brewster told the ceremony that recently they have noted an increase in the number of boys and girls ages 10 to 15 who spend most of their time on the streets or in homes outside of their family homes unsupervised, which placed them at greater risk to become victims of child abuse and exploitation. The government minister noted that even with various support systems in place to help these vulnerable boys and girls, there are many gaps which they have to acknowledge and deal with accordingly.
What are some of the gaps? We have legislative gaps. For example, the Mental Health Act does not include residential services to be provided for persons under the age of 18, so there must be a place for those folks. So we have to deal with these gaps. There are reporting gaps, especially through the Education Act. We have truancy officers, but the reporting mechanisms, they are not solid enough for us to get to our kids and our young people in a timely manner. There are also institutional gaps, which there's no secure placement facilities, especially for girls who are at risk in conflict with the law. And this limits the state's capacity as well in order to provide excellent and exceptional services. There are lack of child-friendly holding areas for children, especially in our police stations. It hurts me that sometimes some of the children who get in conflict with the law, they have to be placed in a police station, and the stigma attached to that is very significant.
Minister Brewster said there is also a program intervention gap along with social and behavioral changes gaps, which parents must also share the responsibility for.
Some children at risk and in conflict with the law have historically been identified as having either learning deficits and limited academic support, and the family network sometimes is not there. Also, we must acknowledge that there are limited clinical treatment and rehabilitation services that are available here in a timely manner. I have to spell these things out so you would know what we are going to do about it. And also we have social and behavioral changes gap. And this limits us as a ministry because the parents' involvement sometimes causes a lot of problems. And some of the parents, they do not want to take responsibility for their child's social behavior. And these are things that we have to address. These are things that we have to look at.
The OASIS project has already been implemented in St. Kitts and Nevis and will be implemented in Antigua and Barbuda, the Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, and St. Lucia. In other local news now, we hear that the RSVG police force is investigating SVG's 7th homicide for the year thus far. According to reports, earlier today, a female body was discovered in a yard in the Camden Park area with what appears to be chop wounds about her body. The body was reportedly discovered by a close family member. SVG-TV News will bring you more on this story as further information comes to hand. And the public is being notified that there has been no eruption of the Kikum-Jenny submarine volcano since the activities of February 9, 2024. The latest advisory was issued today by the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center, the UWISRC, after news began circulating of a possible eruption. In its latest update, the Seismic Research Center said since 3 a.m. on Sunday, February 11th, the elevated activity has ceased and seismic activity at the volcano has returned to normal levels, and there has been no eruption and there is no threat of tsunami. The UWI Seismic Research Center said it, however, should be noted that the level of activity at the volcano can either increase, decrease, or remain at a normal readings, and that activity levels can fluctuate, reiterating that there is no current threat of a tsunami or adverse effects to the coastline or residents of Grenada and the Eastern Caribbean. The UWI Seismic Research Center said it will continue to monitor the submarine volcano and provide updated analysis of the situation. The center also noted that the 4 fully functional seismic stations in the north of Grenada also continue to provide data on the activities at the volcano on a 24-hour basis. In a news release this evening, the SVG National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, said it was also informed that the activities at the submarine volcano have ceased and returned to normal. NEMO said the alert level remains at yellow, with the 1.5 kilometers exclusion zone around the volcano still in effect. In other local news now, we hear that the Argyle International Airport is today celebrating its 7th anniversary of operation. The airport, which is one of the largest capital projects to be undertaken in SVG's history by the ruling Unity Labour Party administration, was supported in its establishment by what was described as a coalition of the willing, which included countries such as Cuba, Venezuela, Mexico, and Taiwan. On the radio today, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves noted that they have come through some difficult periods since they started to plan for the airport, constructing it and operating it. However, it is serving the country well.
Remember, COVID and volcanic eruptions essentially took up 3 years.
Yeah.
Huh? During the 2020, 2021, and of course the recovery period.
Yeah.
And the collapse of Liat affected the passenger flow. But without Argyle International, we will not have the expansion of tourism activities as we have now. We would not have had sandals if we didn't have Argyle International Airport. And I could talk about that. We wouldn't have had that's 302 keys down there, 600 something people at any one time. And they want to expand even more, I understand. And then there is, private sector people who are expanding. McDowell would not have invested $20 million in Maya Suites. The big expansion which has taken place at by the Guns at Beachcombers. Right now, Alexandrina, Hotel Alexandrina, they've sent in something for hotel expansion for all of these things, because you're having
Holiday Inn in Diamond.
The Holiday Inn in Diamond, what is coming up in Marriott, as we get to that later this year, beginning construction. People are seeing the enlargement of possibilities, and they're preparing for it, and it's actually happening already. And Sandals would lift all boats, through the advertisements and people who come in and who may not want to go to Sandals, but they hear about St. Vincent and Grenadines through Sandals in the advertisement, they will come here. So it's a big plus all about, but it couldn't have happened without Sandals. And we increase, the wealth in the country for ordinary people.
Prime Minister Gonsalves further noted that the journey to the Argyle International Airport has been an amazing one, built with love and creativity.
And I want people to appreciate, first of all, I want to thank everybody who has been involved. Everybody who was involved in the construction, all the governments which have helped us, all the Vincentians at home and overseas who made contributions, all those who worked on the airport, every aspect of it, and those who currently work on it. I want to thank, naturally, the governments of Cuba, Venezuela. I want to thank Taiwan, Mexico, Turkey, Libya, Iran, Austria, Argentina. Want to thank the CARICOM Development Fund. I want to thank North Star Finance Group in the United Kingdom, which after we constructed the airport to equip it and to do a number of things, and we through that agency, we ordered the equipment and other things out of Canada, the US, and the UK through their respective export agencies, credit agencies, which made us get some of the equipment fairly at reasonable financing costs. And I want to thank those respective governments, even though they didn't think we could have done it. But at the end, when they saw it, they had to. We went to all different sources, and naturally, without four individuals, four leaders, first of all, Fidel and Chavez, and later on Maduro, Fidel Chavez, Patrick Manning from Trinidad, and President Chen from the Republic of China, Taiwan. They've been very instrumental very earlier on. And different ones that I call, different countries, they made contributions in different ways. For instance, in the case of Argentina, it was the matter of helping us with the petroglyphs, which is a very important part of the work.
We hear that the Republic of China and Taiwan will be assisting a number of local farmers with 3 agricultural projects, namely a vegetable improvement and a post-harvesting handling projects, as well as a livestock rearing project. At a ceremony yesterday, Taiwan's ambassador to SVG, Her Excellency Fiona Hu Shong Fang, said as part of the vegetable improvement project, they will be setting up pre-cooling systems in 5 locations, namely Orange Hill, Lanley Park, Lauders, Lacroix, and Belmont.
In the vicinity of this town, the only Taiwanese technical mission conduct 2 agricultural projects in the nearby Orange Hill and Rabaka. Together with me are my project managers. Please stand up. So, and these 2 areas we will conduct vegetable improvement and post-harvest handling projects, and another livestock rearing projects. In the vegetable improvement projects, we will install 5 chilling rooms with pre-cooling system in 5 locations, including Orange Hill, Lanley Park, Lauders, the Quad, and Belmont. In the projects, we will train the farmers to post-handle their harvest, their crops, such as cucumber, cabbage, bell peppers, and etc., to storage in the chilling room. So that would enhance the quantity and the quality of their crops. I'm very optimistic in the project objectives, because I believe this is in line with tourism boom in your great country. We will produce the best, the freshest vegetables to our foreign guests.
On the livestock rearing project, Ambassador France, they will be providing purebred pigs with an annual production of 320 piglets every 3 years, as well as 160 goats and sheep. Ambassador Fan went on to advise students of the Georgetown Secondary School who were in attendance at a ceremony held at the Georgetown Learning Resource Center to put in the work to benefit from scholarship opportunities.
And in the livestock rearing projects, we will bring in the purebred pigs. And we aim to increase supplies of the piglets into 320 piglets annually in 3 years later, and 160 goat and sheep annually. So I invite the community to explore and embrace these projects that stand as a reflection of progress. Today, I also see a lot of faces of hope of the futures. from Georgetown Secondary School. I am pleased to introduce you that the Taiwan scholarships just opened their application until the end of the March. But you need to study hard because that's for the community college student to apply. In that scholarship, Taiwan will provide 4 years of bachelor or 2 years of master, the total tuition fee and the living cost and return air tickets. So all you have to do is study hard, apply the scholarship, obtain knowledge, and return to serve your great country.
In support of this year's 11th Garifuna International Conference theme, Reparation Justice towards the development and implementation of the 2013 Indigenous Peoples Development Plan, representative of the UWI Global Campus, Patricia Batiste, said the issue of reparation for Indigenous people and African descendants is still a crucial issue on the global scene and must remain on the front burner locally and regionally. Batiste was at the time delivering remarks at the launch of the activities to be held by the Garifuna Heritage Foundation as part of the National Heroes and Heritage Month celebrations next month.
It behooves us at the local and regional level to keep reparation at the forefront of our consciousness. This year's conference will be held under the theme Promoting Reparation Justice towards the development and implementation of the 2030 Indigenous Peoples Development Plan, which continues to speak to this very crucial matter and will seek to define the necessary action needed to be taken by the Garifuna and other indigenous peoples. Our Vice Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Sir Hilary Beckles, is one of the leading advocates for reparation. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Global Campus site is supporting its leadership in this important stand. At the Global Campus, we believe that the university has a solemn duty to support the Garifuna Heritage Foundation, the Garifuna people, and indeed the Vincentian people in keeping our heritage and culture alive and well.
Representative of the Ministry of Education, Ashaki Samuel, said the ministry fully supports the upcoming International Garifuna Conference at the National Schools Garifuna Folk Festival as they recognize the importance of sharing with students more about the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
These activities will help to encourage students a greater appreciation for the local history and the Vincentian culture. Added to that, activities such as these provide opportunities for students to demonstrate their talents and develop self-confidence. Furthermore, they intend to foster national pride among students and the entire Vincentian populace. Moreover, as we commemorate Black History Month and later in the month of March, Heritage Month, let us remember and celebrate the effort and contributions made by our ancestors and the impacts on our society over the years. Their contributions remain remarkable in our heritage, and we must preserve them in the culture of the generations to come. Having this one-day event is not sufficient for us to celebrate our ancestors and their contributions. Instead, we must remember them and celebrate them as often as we can. The school's annual Garifuna Festival and History Expo is a reminder of the significant aspect of our heritage and our history. Black History and Heritage Month are also reminders that this important part of our heritage should be placed at the forefront of our awareness daily. As a nation, it is our responsibility to learn from our past and work diligently to transfer the legacy of the Garifuna people and all of us, our ancestors, by participating and supporting these events and alike.
The International Garifuna Conference will be held from the 11th to the 13th of March at the UWI Global Campus, while the National Schools Garifuna Folk Festival will be held on March 5th at the Victoria Park. The St. Joseph Convent Kingston on Tuesday hosted a career fair and business expo to expose their students to a number of careers, traditional and non-traditional. One of the students who is already harnessing her entrepreneurial skills is Indian Davis. Davis is a budding hairstylist who has the full support of her family. At the school's career fair and business expo, Davis spoke to our news team about her entrepreneurial passion, which she says started at a young age.
I started practicing on a mannequin head, and then on my mommy and family members hair, and then we made it into a business. I wanted to show people my talent, and this was the easiest way to showcase it. This hairstyle took approximately 6 hours. This one took 10. This one took 3. This one took 7. This one took 5. This one took 8. When somebody here and they post it and they like it, somebody will ask them like, who do you hate? And then they go tell them me, and then yeah, I get clients like that.
We do wish India all the best with her education and entrepreneurial pursuit.